Okay, so this next one is evaluating expressions with negative exponents, and I would say that this is more intermediate level. If you can answer these questions, you're definitely on to a 3. Okay, so the idea of negative exponents is a tricky one, so let's have a look at what it means first. So let's go through some examples, right? We're just going to create a pattern here. It's going to be a little bit repetitive, but I hope it serves a purpose, right? So you know, if you have 3 cubed, that's 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27, okay? If you have 3 squared, it's 3 times 3, which is 9. And if you have 3 to the power of 1, it's just 3. Right, so you can see that as you come down a step, we divide by 3. Alright? So then, that means if you come down one more step, you have to divide by 3. So you get 3 to the power of 0 is 1, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And now come down another step, 3 to the power of minus 1, divide by 3 again, is 1/3. Alright? And then come down another step, 3 to the minus 2. Well, what's that? Well, it's going to be this thing here divided by a third. Or sorry, divided by 3. So it's 1/3 divided by 3. Okay? Which we happen to know is 1/3 multiplied by, because keep, change, and flip, 1/3. So it's 1/9. And so on. Okay, and that's the way you keep going down through the lines. So watch if you did it with, like, for example, instead of doing it, actually we did 1/3, we did 1/2. Okay, so 1/2 is going to be, we'll say we have 1/2 to the power of 3. That's a half times a half times a half, which is 1/8. Alright, half to the power of 2 is going to be a half times a half, which is a quarter. Half to the power of 1 is just a half. A half to the power of 0 is 1. So look, what we're doing as we go down, we're dividing by a half. Okay, each step that we go down, we divide by a half. Alright? Or you can think of dividing by a half as the same as multiplying by 2, because of keep, change, flip, right? So that's what we're doing the whole way down. Okay, so it's like multiplying by 2. So, if you do a half to the power of minus 1, well, that's going to be the same as multiplying the previous one by 2. If you do a half to the minus 2, you multiply by 2 again, it's 4, and so on. So it's tricky, right? It's a tricky pattern. So this is something we're going to look at in class today. So, how does that help us? Well, let's have a look at some problems here. Right. So, if we think of our pattern, because we're dealing in 4s, okay, so we could say 4 squared equals 16, 4 to the 1 is 4, 4 to the 0 is 1, 4 to the minus 1 is 1. Sorry, I need to erase that. 4 to the minus 1 is 1/4. 4 to the minus 2 is 1/16. Okay? So here's the way it works, right? What the minus actually does. So it actually flips it upside down. So this is your answer here, by the way. 4 to the minus 2 is 1/16. Here's what it does. 4 to the minus 2, that's the same as 1 over 4 to the power of 2. Okay? Because the minus just flips it. So 4 to the minus 2 flips it, which is 1/16. So the minus means that you have to invert it. And then when you invert it, the minus goes. Okay? and we end up with 1 over 4 squared. Not 1 over 4 to the minus 2. The minus has disappeared. The inverting means means get rid of the minus. Let's look at this here. So if we look at what we just said already, what the minus does. So we have 2 to the minus 5. The minus means invert it, 1 over 2 to the 5. Okay? That's what the minus means. The minus means it's going to turn it upside down. So 2, when it's turned upside down, 2 is 2 over 1, it's turned upside down, it becomes 1 over 2. Okay, so it's 1 over 2 to the 5. And that becomes 1 over 32. Or you could also think of it like this. Instead of, okay, it's 1 over 2 to the 5. Okay, so 1 over 32 is your answer. Better to think of it like that. So we look at it. So, again, we have 2 over 3 to the minus 4. So what does the minus do? The minus flips it upside down. So 2 over 3 is going to become 3 over 2. Okay? The minus is gone now because we flipped it and we just have to the power 4. What does that mean? 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 times 3 over 2. Okay? And then when you multiply fractions, you multiply the tops together, you multiply the bottoms together, and you have an answer. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. 81 on top. Now multiply the bottoms. 2, 4, 8, 16. 81 over 16. Okay? We'll probably settle for that for an answer, but that's actually 5 and 1/16. Right, let's have a look at another one. This case. So remember that the minus just means you just flip the thing upside down. So if it's 4, it becomes 1 over 4. If it's 3/5, it becomes 5/3. So I'm going to write it out again. So we have minus 3 over 7 to the minus 2. So that is the same as minus 7 over 3 to the 2. The minus just means flip. Okay, so what that's become now is minus 7 over 3 squared means minus 7 over 3 times minus 7 over 3. Now, a negative number by a negative number means we're going to have a positive outcome. So we're going to have 7 times 7 is 49 over 9, okay? And the minus times the minus was going to give us a plus. So that's why it turns out to be positive. And you can change that into a mixed number, which is 5 and 4/9. Right, let's have a look at one. So in this case, you have minus 2/3 to the minus 4. Now, what did I say the minus means? The minus in the exponent means that you flip it. So we have minus, instead of 2/3, it becomes 3/2. So we flipped it, we lose the minus now. So this is the key bit here. Watch, the minus isn't in the parentheses. So that means that the power of 4 is not acting on the minus. Okay, we're only going to get the minus once, but we're going to get the 3 over 2 4 times. So it's minus 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 times 3 over 2. The reason we don't have a minus in front of all the 3 over 2's is because the minus is not in the parentheses. The 4 is not acting on the minus. So, if you look at it here, we're multiplying a negative by a positive by a positive by a positive. So let's have a look and see how that works out. If you multiply a negative by a positive, you get a negative. Then by another positive, you get a negative. Sorry, a negative by a positive is negative. By another positive is negative. By another positive is negative. So it's negative. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81 over 16. So it's going to be negative 5 and 1/16. Now, I don't expect you to think that's very easy. There are examples. There's a worksheet on Moodle that you can work on, and I'm going to call groups to work with me at the top of the class on that, okay? So please have a go at it. And if you're struggling, please come up and look for help. We need to know how to do this.